Hi there and welcome to my After Effects tutorial today. This is the second installment of my tutorial and we're going to be continuing off from where I left off last time with the camera, but not exactly the same thing. So first I'm going to go to Composition, New Composition. I'm going to set this to 720p HDV square pixels, so the aspect ratio is 16 by 9. It doesn't really matter for today's components that I'm going to be showing, but let's just have a nice quality composition. Resolution, I'm going to change to full to half for faster previewing. Now, when you render, you should always change it back to full for the best quality, unless you're previewing or rendering just a low quality preview, and then it doesn't really matter. I'm going to click OK. I'm going to scroll in a little bit. So what I'll be showing today is how to set things up in 3D space. If none of you know what parallax means, well, it's okay because I'll show you what it means. So I'm going to go ahead and create a 35mm camera right now. Click OK. Click OK for the warning. Layer, new, null object. I'm just going to set this to 3D. I'm going to parent the camera to the null object. Okay, so now we have a camera and a null object that controls the camera. I'm going to go ahead and create a blue solid and then a red solid. It doesn't matter what colors. You don't even have to recreate this tutorial if you don't want to. I'm just going to show how 3D space works and how to set things up. I'm going to set these both to 3D. I'm going to select the red solid, highlight it, go up here to the rectangle tool, and you click Q, it cycles through a bunch of different shapes, and what happens when you double click on these is it creates a mask, which you can modify. So I'm just going to create a makeshift square here. It won't be perfect. I'm using my eyes just to create a square here. And we got the mask in the center. That's fine. I'm just going to take this mask. So if you don't see this, you can twirl down the layer, go to mask, highlight the mask, Control C, and copy and paste with Control V onto a blue solid layer. I'm just going to duplicate this red solid once, Control D, and duplicate this blue solid once with Control D. Okay, so now we have 4 layers. Now, if I were to use the camera tool right now, the null object, and move left to right, we don't see anything else. We don't see the blue layer underneath. We only see the red layer on top, even though they are all in 3D space. Now this is because right now I haven't changed any of the properties in the transform here. They're all at the exact same coordinate in 3D space, 640 by 360. But if you were to see now, if I move this 3D solid back, the blue layer, move it back in space, and then I change the null object to move, say left, you'll see it, or right, you'll see it. Now this is the same as a human eye. Now this is what parallax is. Everything comes out of the eye. Your rays of light that you perceive come in the shape of a triangle, and you see outward. I'll explain this in a second because that's really abstract what I've just explained. So what I'll do is just change the shape of that square back to the original spot. Now we're going to go ahead and we're going to try to recreate an effect that I've seen in Minitai AMV by Forest. You don't have to recreate this if you don't want to. It's just for understanding. I'm going to click on one view, change this to 2 views. And now we have a top view here, as you can see. It says active camera on this one because the yellow corners are highlighted. If I click on this one, it makes this screen now highlighted. Now this is the active preview. As you can see, it says top and not active camera. If I were to select the camera here and zoom back a little bit, this right here where my mouse is, that's where the camera is. This front line at the end opposite from that line is what you see in the camera. As you can see, it's a triangle and it's perspected outwards. Whatever you see that is on this and is within the range of this side here of the triangle will be seen as this screen on this side. Okay? Just keep that in mind. So, to create the effect we can see in Minutes AMV, I'm just going to go to this red solid. We're going to use this red solid, the first one, as our base. I'm going to move this down, click, and move down. Click this red solid, rotate, Y rotation, change that to 90 degrees. I'm just going to move this upward until the corner is touching. Okay. I'm going to take this blue layer, change the orientation to 90 degrees, and move that upward until it's touching on this side. As you can see on the right side, they're not straight. This is because of the effects of parallax. And the last one I'm not going to rotate. I just want that to be the final side. So I'm just take this, hold shift, and move it upwards so it stays on a straight path. And now, as you can see, we have something close to a square. Not quite, but that should do it. I'm just going to close this view now, go to one view. Now, what I can do is go to null object, just, keyframe everything for the hell of it. Doesn't hurt. Move a little bit forward in time, and then you can change one of these parameters around for orientation and have a look what it does. So it's all red colored over here right now. So if I change this, as you can see, you can do some pretty interesting things with this. Move a little bit forward in time, change some again. In Minutes AMV, what he did is he twirled around a few times and then landed back on another screen and went into the screen with all the edges of the screen just perfectly. So I covered this with Hobby already, just haven't shown anyone else. Really cool effect. You don't always need this, but this is just for 3D setup, so you understand how the 3D camera works. It's going to set these layers to have their motion blur switch on, and then they'll set on the master motion blur switch, so we have a little bit more of an interesting effect here. And I'm just going to RAM preview this to see how it looks, and it's just spinning around a little bit. And for this one, I'll move everything back to 0 orientation. Then that should be good. Okay, and that should cover how to set things up in 3D space. Really nice. I easy ease these keyframes with F9, by the way, in case you didn't know. You could always right click them and easy ease them from the keyframe assistant menu. That's fine. In any case, that covers it for 3D setup. But now, what if you wanted to pre-compose these 3D layers and then use them again after they've been pre-composed? So, well, why don't we try that? I'm going to highlight all this. Layer, pre-compose, move all attributes to new composition. Layer, new camera, 35 millimeters will do. Layer, new null object, set that to 3D. Parent the camera tool to the null object. Okay. Now, this is a composition, it's already keyframed within it, but what if I were to, say, set this composition to 3D, and then change the orientation of it? As you can see, it's a flat image. What a composition does is it flattens the image into a layer. But it's not so much as the same as the ones in Photoshop, where if you flatten the image in Photoshop, it flattens out all the effects with it too, and none of the effects are displayed. So you can consider this as flattening the image but with all the effects on the inside. So another video, you could say, a pre-rendered video. Not quite rendered yet, but it's cleaner and faster to work with. And for this one, I'm going to go ahead and create another layer in 3D. And I'm going to just turn the visibility of this one off. I'm going to click collapse transformation switch right here. Now what this does is it allows the 3D to be displayed within a composition. So if I take the orientation and if I change it now, you can see that the 3D properties are back. This is particularly useful if you have keyframed a zoom out at a low speed inside the composition, and in your outer composition if you pick up the pace again. So if you have two screens, you got a mask in front and a mask behind. If the mask behind is moving at a slower pace, and then all of a sudden it zooms out at a faster pace while it's still moving at a lower pace in the back scene, it creates a really cool effect. That should cover most of the things for today. I'm just going to cover our final rendering method. This here is your work area. Everything between these two yellow handlebars is what's going to be rendered. You can drag it out, doesn't matter. Usually I only adjust this in things I want to render. Usually it'll be the master composition. The master composition is what I consider the composition has everything inside it, all of your edits. You'll just go to composition now, add to render queue. You can change this to whatever you want. Generally I render this in a video for Windows, logarithm format. Okay, audio output, whatever the kilohertz is. Okay, name it, and then just click render after you're done. And then I'd compress it later in a post-compression program. and that should cover it. Thanks for watching my tutorial today, and good luck.